Do you remember Kick Buttowski, the fearless kid in a white jumpsuit who lived for extreme stunts? It had the action, it had the energy, but somehow, it never became a legendary cartoon like Phineas and Ferb or Gravity Falls. Instead, it faded into the background, forgotten by many, ignored by most. Why did a show with so much potential fail, or did it simply not connect with enough viewers? Today, we're breaking down the biggest reasons Kick Buttowski never took off. Let's get started. Repetitive storylines. One of the biggest reasons Kick Buttowski failed was its repetitive storylines. Almost every episode followed the same pattern. Kick attempted a dangerous stunt. He faced an obstacle. He somehow pulled it off or learned a minor lesson. This formula worked at first. Over time, it became predictable. The show started feeling stagnant. Despite its flaws, Kick Buttowski had some positives. The animation was sharp. The action was fast-paced. Kick's determination was admirable. Kids who loved extreme sports found him exciting, but the lack of variety in storytelling hurt the show. The emotional depth was missing. Kick rarely struggled with failure in a meaningful way. Even when things went wrong, he always bounced back too easily. Other animated leads faced real emotional challenges. They experienced loss and self-doubt. They showed personal growth. Kick's biggest setbacks were just temporary obstacles that made it hard to connect with him. Jealousy was another weak point. His older brother, Brad, constantly bullied him. There was no real reason behind it. If Brad had moments of insecurity, the rivalry could have been deeper. He could have felt overshadowed by Kick's bravery. He could have craved attention from their parents. But the show never explored that. Brad remained a flat, one-dimensional antagonist. Fans grew frustrated. The show had potential. The concept was unique. The character designs were strong. But the execution never allowed the series to evolve. Instead of exploring new directions, it stuck to the same formula. Audiences lost interest. The biggest disappointment was how quickly Kick Buttowski faded. Other shows built legacies through storytelling and character development. This one stayed at surface-level action. It had everything needed to be a hit, but its refusal to grow led to its downfall. Lack of emotional depth. Kick Buttowski had action. It had energy, but it lacked something important: emotion. The show focused heavily on extreme stunts and comedy. It rarely explored deep feelings or real struggles. This made the characters feel shallow. Kick never faced serious emotional challenges. He never doubted himself. He never had a real moment of fear or regret. No matter what happened, he always acted the same. Other cartoon protagonists went through ups and downs. They had moments of weakness and growth. Kick felt stuck in one mode: always confident, always determined, never truly vulnerable. The relationships in the show also felt underdeveloped. Kick and Gunter were best friends, but their friendship never had real tension. They never had serious fights or emotional moments. Compare this to shows like SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob and Patrick had episodes where their friendship was tested. That made them feel more real. Kick and Gunter never had that depth. His family dynamic was another missed opportunity. His parents were barely involved in his life. His older brother, Brad, only existed to make fun of him. If Brad had layers to his personality, their relationship could have been interesting instead of repetitive. Because of this, Kick Buttowski lacked emotional moments that stuck with the audience. Shows like Adventure Time and Gravity Falls made people feel something. Even comedies like Phineas and Ferb had moments of heart. Kick's world felt too flat. Nothing truly mattered. That made it easy for people to forget about the show once it ended. Limited audience on Disney XD. One of the biggest reasons Kick Buttowski failed was its placement on Disney XD. Unlike Disney Channel, which had a massive audience, Disney XD had a much smaller reach. Fewer people had access to it. Many casual viewers never even knew the show existed. Other Disney cartoons had the advantage of airing on the main channel. Phineas and Ferb and Gravity Falls reached millions of viewers. They became cultural phenomena. Kick Buttowski never had that chance. Even if someone wanted to watch it, they might not have had Disney XD in their cable package. That severely limited its popularity. The marketing for Disney XD shows was also weaker. Disney focused more on promoting its main channel content. That meant Kick Buttowski never got the same level of attention as bigger hits. Many people discovered shows like Kim Possible or The Sweet Life of Zoc and Cody just by flipping through channels. That didn't happen with Kick Buttowski. If you didn't already know about it, you probably never saw it. Being on Disney XD also meant it had more competition from other networks. Around the same time, Cartoon Network had Adventure Time and Regular Show. Nickelodeon had The Fairly OddParents and SpongeBob SquarePants. Those shows had bigger platforms and wider audiences. Kick Buttowski was stuck in the background. Airing on the wrong network can kill a good show. Kick Buttowski had potential. If it had been on the main Disney Channel, it might have gained a stronger fan base. But being on Disney XD meant it never reached the heights it could have. that played a big role in its downfall. Villains or conflict. Another major reason Kick Buttowski failed was its lack of a strong villain or engaging conflict. Many great animated shows have a central antagonist or challenge that pushes the main character forward. Kick Buttowski never had that. Kick's biggest obstacles were usually small everyday problems. He wanted to complete a stunt but faced minor setbacks. He dealt with his annoying brother, Brad, or a strict authority figure like Vice Principal Burge, but none of these conflicts felt serious or long-term. They were just temporary roadblocks that were easily overcome. A great villain gives a show identity. Kim Possible had Dr. Draken, the Powerpuff Girls had Mojo Jojo, Denny Phantom had Vlad Plasmius. These antagonists weren't just obstacles, they were personal challenges that made the heroes grow. Kick Buttowski never had a true rival or nemesis. The closest thing was Brad, but he was more of a generic bully than a real antagonist. Even Kick's challenges lacked high stakes. He never faced real failure that changed him. Conflict is what keeps a story engaging. Without it, a show feels directionless. Slapstick comedy became predictable. Kick Buttowski relied heavily on slapstick comedy. Slapstick can be great when used creatively. Looney Tunes made it work by adding unpredictable gags and clever timing. SpongeBob SquarePants balanced physical humor with witty dialogue in absurd situations. Kick Buttowski didn't do that. The jokes rarely changed. It was always about someone falling, crashing, or getting hit in an exaggerated way. That made the humor feel lazy rather than smart. Another issue was that the comedy didn't serve the characters. Shows like Phineas and Ferb had jokes that fit each character's personality. Dr. Doofenshmirtz's failures were funny because they tied into his clumsy, dramatic nature. In Kick Buttowski, the humor didn't add depth. It was just random slapstick moments that didn't build on anything. This lack of variety hurt the show's appeal. Younger kids might enjoy constant crashes and explosions, but older viewers look for comedy with more layers. Kick Buttowski never evolved. Because of that, many people lost interest over time. No strong supporting characters. The cast felt empty. A great show needs more than just a strong main character. It needs a cast that adds depth, humor, and different perspectives. Kick Buttowski failed in this area. Most of its supporting characters were either one-dimensional or forgettable. Gunter, Kick's best friend, was meant to be comic relief, but his jokes were mostly about food or being clumsy. He rarely contributed to the story in a meaningful way. Compare this to sidekicks like Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants or Ferb from Phineas and Ferb. They had unique traits that made them fun to watch. Gunter felt generic in comparison. The show revolved too much around Kick himself. There was no real emotional connection between the characters. Kick Buttowski was about a kid who refused to be ordinary. He wanted to leave a mark, to prove that nothing was impossible. But the show itself never pushed beyond its limits. It stayed in its comfort zone with repetitive jokes and shallow characters. Instead of growing into something unforgettable, it became just another cartoon that came and went. There's something frustrating about that. The idea of a fearless daredevil deserved better storytelling, better character moments, and a stronger reason for viewers to stay invested. But in the end, Kick Buttowski never got the chance to evolve. It was here, full of energy, and then just gone. Maybe it never reached legendary status, but for those who watched, it still meant something. And maybe, just maybe, Kick's spirit of never giving up is the one thing that truly lasted.